Well, every site's different. There were a lot of, obviously most of the damage was coastal, but not all of it was up on the ocean. There's a lot of bay areas and back bay areas that got hit, and a lot of those areas have some pretty poor soil. They were built on marshlands. They were manufactured land, and that somebody at some point filled marshlands and built the developments there. Those soils aren't sufficient to, in many cases, support a home, especially an elevated home. Obviously, adding all this block to the foundation adds quite a bit of weight.
So what is the step? What is the remedy when you're dealing in townships like Brick to fix that problem?
In a number of cases, we do the soil boring. We determine that we have a poor soil condition, and we decide we have to go with some kind of deep foundation system, which usually means some sort of pile. Be it timber piles, or in a case like this, where we're rehabbing an existing home and we don't have the room to install timber piles, we would do helical piles, which are steel modular piles that are installed while the house is elevated.
So the house becomes elevated, you bore holes, put the piles in, and then put the house down on top of the piles.
Correct. They have machinery that can that's low enough to go right underneath the house when it's elevated, just like that. They install the helical piles in sections to a certain depth to provide the load that they need, and then they pour a new foundation on top of those.
So the soil bearings determine whether you need what type of pile. Does the government regulate each individual house as to the height that the home has to get raised?
Yes. The flood maps, the FEMA firm maps came out shortly after the storm. They've been revised several times since the storm. But those are what really govern the elevations and how high the house needs to be raised. We take a look at those maps and we do a survey on every property to verify what height the existing house is at and how high we need to make it once it's complete.
Okay.
And that's part of what's occurring right now. We can't really set this house back down until that foundation elevation has been verified to make sure we now conform with the new rules.
Is that a federal person, a county, a state person who comes out and looks at that?
I mean, the town will ultimately look at the as-built condition.
Okay.
But these are federal standards, though, as far as the heights.
So our surveyors are the ones who physically verify the height and provide that information to the township for them to verify that we meet the right condition.
Okay. In the end, what's important, if you don't want to miss the mark, because your flood insurance premiums will be based on your elevation. So if you miss the mark and you're lower than the benchmark, you're going to be paying a penalty. If you are a little bit or more above it, you get a discount. So that's why we have to verify, because we don't want to put homeowners in a position where they're going to have to pay a penalty because essentially the house is not at that proper benchmark.
And how high would you say that this house is being lifted?
I think this house went up about 4.5 feet.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to go into it a little bit and ask some questions on some details about this particular lift, and let's get a little closer, ask some questions.
Thank you.